All right. Good morning. It is your Global Sparkles here, and today I want to talk about upleveling your boundaries because we see a lot online people that don't have boundaries or people that are getting hurt because of lack of boundaries. Now, there are the typical ways that people talk about boundaries. It's all about communication. It's all about knowing your values, discussing things immediately when something happens instead of going away and stewing on boundaries, stewing on what happened. But what I want to talk about is in the up leveling of boundaries is creating a space where you're not even allowing in people that trigger off your boundaries or that upset you or that undermine you and go under what you think is an acceptable level for living. So, as usual, good morning, Rusty and Stephen. As usual, I like to look at things in a non typical way. So, I want to look at the energetics of boundaries and how you can create a space in your world where you don't attract assholes into it. Basically, that kind of simple, right? So, I want to talk about identity, decisions, and certainties that will allow your energy to create a space where those people that want to trigger off your boundaries don't even appear anymore. How cool would that be? And that if those people are in your world, they don't upset you or there's just no issue anymore. Because that would be much better than having to constantly focus on implementing and pushing the boundaries and making sure the space is correct. So I want to start with identity. If you are truly clear on who you are and how you want to show up, that of course is going to show up in your energy, in your vibration, right? So you may have heard me talk about what is for me will find me and what is not for me will fall away. So energetically, if you're not a match for assholes, it's going to be kind of hard for them to really get into your space and into your world, right? Or to trigger off an emotional response, right? So it really does start with you. You create your world. So instead of worrying about communication and putting in rules, let's look within. How are you showing up? How are you feeling about yourself? How are you tied in with your identity? Because if you have the identity that you're surrounded by assholes, and that you're never going to be surrounded by people that get you, of course, they're the people that you're calling in because frequency will match. So let's start with I am the kind of person that is always surrounded by people that love me, get me, care for me, that want the best for me and naturally respect me. So in that identity thing, you then form a decision, right? So the next thing is the decision. I'm surrounded by good people. And the more I focus on this, the more I'm creating it in my own world. I don't get trolled online. I don't get people coming after me where I do sometimes put posts up where I think, there's going to be people out here that don't like what I've got to say. But I'm only ever supported in what I'm doing because my identity, my vibration, and my decision has been made. And in that decision comes certainty. So, identity, decision, and certainty. I am certain now that everything that I do brings in the right people. And that in that certainty, I have the confidence to take the action, to put up the controversial Facebook Live where, I potentially could have had people coming after me because I actually dissed one of the most world famous personal development coaches and basically said, yes, this person is a good salesperson and is not actually helping the people that they're claiming to help, right? So in this thing, right, I've set the personal boundaries within me. So it's not relying on any external. I am fully at cause. So the spiritual law of cause and effect. I am fully at cause with my life. I have the occasional hiccup where the odd person here or there might slip by, but they don't stay around for long, right? They're gone, right? And so the better I get at my own identity and showing up with 100% certainty and making the decisions to be loved, adored, supported, and only accepting that in and making that my vibration and my frequency, energetically, I don't have to worry about what's going on with the other people around me because I'm only attracting in the right people. So it's a little bit of a different way to look at personal boundaries. This has been on my mind for the last 2 or 3 days, and I was figuring out how best to articulate it. Because if you go on the Google, good old Dr. Google gives you like 7 ways to enforce your personal boundaries. It's like, no, I don't want to have to push and enforce. I don't want to be looking at the effect of everything around me and responding to other people all the time, especially if they're not in the same space of me, which is like, let's, elevate the energy and the vibration and the frequency of the whole freaking planet, right? I have lofty ambitions, but just think about what's going on with you. How are you creating? How are you allowing in? How are you supporting people to come and smash your boundaries, right? It does all start with you. So let's up level our own boundaries. Let's make a decision and go within. Who am I? How am I showing up? What is my energy? What is my frequency? What is my identity? Do I identify with being surrounded by assholes all the time? Or do I now shift my identity and change that? What decision do you need to make? And how are you going to implement that level of certainty? It's a daily practice. So I start with daily gratitudes, right? And I didn't start with my daily gratitudes this morning. I was running around doing a few other things and then I got cranky. So I'm at cause for that. I take responsibility. My identity, like, maybe dropped a little bit, right? I wasn't fully conscious and making the right decisions and acting with a level of certainty. So it does all start with you. Your inner world is reflected in your outer world. Let's get those personal boundaries up leveled. Let's go within and let's make it that we're no longer surrounded by assholes, right? Because it's the absolute best feeling. I would love your thoughts on that. Post your questions in the comment, anything that comes up for you around it. Let's have a discussion. If you know someone who's surrounded by assholes who probably needs to listen to this, tag them in the post. Feel free to share it on your socials. And I look forward to hearing your opinions on this. And have a fantastic asshole-free weekend. That's my goal. That's how I identify. All right. Peace out, everyone. Bye.